Hi, my name's Todd. Welcome back to the Laundry List. We hope you guys had a great week. I'm here with my co-host, Blake. It was Blake's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday.
Thank you, Todd.
29 years old. 29 years in this body of Blake and human experience.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Every year around my birthday, I look back at what has transpired over the last year, and this last year has been a lot of growth.
A lot of growth.
A lot of pain, but a lot of growth.
Yeah. Well, with the pain, it comes the growth if you want to get out of the pain.
Yeah, if you got to do the work, right?
Yeah. So we were in Vegas. We celebrated Blake's birthday and my dad's birthday with a bunch of friends, and it was a lot of fun.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Good group of people.
29 and 86. And yeah, it was just a blast. We shopped and ate and gambled and, just
laughed.
had a lot of laughter, had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
good people
awesome.
watching up there.
It was awesome. And the food was so good.
Yeah. Ate at Milo's, incredible Greek restaurant, and then breakfast at Bouchon was amazing too. So yeah, just a good time, like one of the promises we always talk about. We just learn to play and have fun in our lives and do what we want to do, be with people we want to be with, and just really, be ourselves.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the first birthday that I've been around with people that everyone there I thoroughly enjoy. And I can't say that that's been the case in my previous birthdays.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know what you know. And I know for me, for many years with pretty much every girl I dated up until Alex, like I thought I was being myself. I thought I was enjoying life. I thought I was like having fun. But I realized I was still just such a people pleaser, wanted everyone else to like me and fit in. And I didn't know who I wanted to be with, because whoever was there was like, okay, I guess this is who's here. But now it's like, no, I want to invite the people that I want to be there.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's so different when you're not in that state of people pleasing, how much more fun it is.
Yeah.
Right. Like I know everyone that was there loves me exactly how I am. And maybe it's because I love myself exactly how I am. And that's where it starts. And I'm secure in who I am. And I'm not needing to impress anybody. I mean, everyone knows, knows the true Blake.
You have confidence now.
Yeah.
The key is to keep that. It's like a golden gift.
For sure.
It's to keep it. And, when we fall in love or meet somebody in a romantic relationships, it's very easy to give that away, or find a business partner who is overpowering and domineering and bossy. It's very easy to lose that self-esteem, that opinion, that that identity, that voice, because you're like, oh, okay, well, she wants to go out clubbing, so I guess we're going clubbing. Yeah. The boss is like shaming you and making you feel bad, and you're like, oh, I guess this is just the way it is. Yeah. So it's easy to to kind of let it get away from us. But if we keep doing the work, it's like, no, we can stand in our ground. We can have conflict. We can have anger. We can be like who we want to be, but it takes work to keep it, because it's so easy to go back to the old ways, right?
Yeah. And I think a little bit, and this is something now where I used to avoid conflict, but now, especially in business, conflict is good.
Well, not just in business, in life in general.
But yeah. I remember especially in business or business and relationships, not so much in personal, but that I would avoid conflict. Where now conflict, we were talking about Michael Jordan, who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron. And then I was watching some videos about Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan created conflict, because on good teams there is conflict, because that's what it takes to grow and get better.
Right. So. Yeah, I love it, because I was just thinking today, I was looking up movies to go to, and I haven't even asked my wife, Alex, if she wants to go, but I'll ask her later, hey, you want to go to a movie tonight? And she might say no. She might say yes, but I'm going anyway. Yeah. I'm going to go. And, I've been to probably 10 movies in the last couple of years by myself, and I love it.
Yeah. I love going to movies by myself.
And that's never been the case.
No.
So
where you'd be so worried to go to the movie because somebody sees you there.
Oh shit, Todd's by himself, Yeah.
And I've been doing that a lot lately too, where I'll go out to eat by myself. And there's almost like a superpower. Once you get comfortable doing
Once you get comfortable in your own skin.
And then it's almost like everyone else wishes they could do that. And they're like,
Right.
wow, look at this guy. He's, eating by himself.
Yep. Yeah, it is a blessing once we do the work and find our identity and who we truly want to be. You just don't really care about the other people's opinion of you. You want to read the laundry list and the
Absolutely.
promises?
So this is the laundry list. 1, we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. 2, we became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. 3, we are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. 4, we either become alcoholics, marry them, or both, or find another compulsive personality, such as a workaholic, to fulfill our sick abandonment needs. 5, we live life from the viewpoint of victims, and we are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. 6, we have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it is easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us not to look too closely at our own faults, etc. 7, we get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves instead of giving in to others. 8, we became addicted to excitement. 9, we confuse love and pity and tend to love people we can pity and rescue. 10, we have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhoods and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much. Denial. 11, we judge ourselves harshly and have a very low sense of self-esteem. 12, we are dependent personalities who are terrified of abandonment. We'll do anything to hold on to a relationship in order not to experience painful abandonment feelings, which we receive from living with sick people who were never there emotionally for us. 13, alcoholism is a family disease, and we became para-alcoholic and took on the characteristics of that disease even though we did not pick up the drink. 14, para-alcoholics are reactors rather than actors. That's what we had. This is what we get.
Yep.
1, we will discover our real identities by loving and accepting ourselves. 2, our self-esteem will increase as we give ourselves approval on a daily basis. 3, fear of authority figures and the need of people please will leave us. 4, our ability to share intimacy will grow inside us. 5, as we face our abandonment issues, we'll be more attracted by strengths to become more tolerant of weaknesses. 6, we will enjoy feeling stable, peaceful, and financially secure. 7, we will learn how to play and have fun in our lives. 8, we will choose to love people who can love and be responsible for themselves. 9, healthy boundaries and limits will become easier for us to set. 10, fears of failure and success will leave us as we intuitively make healthier choices. 11, with help from our ACA support group, we will slowly release our dysfunctional behaviors. 12, gradually with our higher powers' help, we will learn to expect the best and get it.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. I always love hearing the promises. Yeah. So, I mean, we could just keep going off of what we were talking about. And
For sure.
Yeah, like just doing the things that we want to do that make us happy. Like we talked about how we ate like mental patients up there, but how great the food was and how we enjoyed it. And it's not like we're like creating shame, but we're like, oh, let's do a few day juice fast and just kind of feel better. And, and that's exciting too. And it was exciting to go to those restaurants and just eat like crazy, where there's not real shame and guilt and judgment. It's just like, hey, let's just flow with what feels right to do.
And it's like we got a little bit out of bounds, and it's not like, oh, we're bad people because we did that, but it's like, oh, okay, and maybe now let's do a juice cleanse and make some healthier choices. It's not like we're beating ourselves up about us eating crazy.
Yeah. And
which is different behavior for me.
It's that self-talk. That self-talk is so strong. And the self-talk could be like, you fat piece of shit. Like, what the hell are you doing? How come you ate so much? But it's like, no, there's self-love there. There's self-love. It's like, no, I enjoyed, some incredible food with amazing taste and just appreciation for that with good family and friends. And now it's like, okay, now I want to do a juice cleanse. And it's not a punishment. It's not like, oh, I'm bad. I think the old days, like you mentioned, it's like, no, I'm punishing myself and I'm bad and I deserve not to eat for 4 days because I overindulged, It's not that.
I think as, we go to a yoga class every Saturday morning together, and the instructor says something that we get to do something like, you get to do jumping jacks, or you get to do, and it's such a good perspective. Like, we get to do a juice cleanse. Mm-hmm. We're not, just all that self-talk of, it's all perspective.
Right. Yeah. I do like when she says that. And so it's like, oh, we got to do burpees.
You got one more round. You get one more round.
Yeah,
like
it's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
It's one of those things where like, we're so grateful. Like today on my gratitude list, you know, I put down obviously having a great trip in Vegas and being with family and friends and laughing and doing stupid shit. And then I also put, I'm grateful for like my eyesight, and I'm grateful that I have friends that care about me today. You know, so it's like the little things too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how often do I think that I'm grateful for my eyesight? I just assumed like, oh yeah, I got my eyesight. Like, yeah, but there are a lot of people who don't have their eyesight, and there are a lot of people that actually lose their eyesight as they get older. So it's like every day I have my eyesight that I can see all these beautiful things and colors and people. And, you know, yesterday flying in the plane with the skies and the clouds, like there's so much to see in this human experience, you know, that I'm grateful that I can have my eyesight.
And it's just the simple things, right?
The
simple things make the unbelievable things that much better.
Right. And, you know, from our other 12-step program, you know, it's one of my favorite lines is that our happiness and joy is inversely proportionate to my expectations.
For sure.
And when my expectations are like super, super high, then that's when judgment and opinions and shame comes in. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to be at this weight. I'm supposed to be this rich. I'm supposed to have this many friends. I'm supposed to blah, 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 have these possessions. You know, and if I put that on myself, then guess what? Yeah, my happiness and joy is down here.
And you and I are both in the same way, that the expectations that we can put on ourselves, we would never put on anyone, even our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
You know, I can put just expectations that, you know, that are so unreasonable that I would never do that to someone else, but then somehow I'm chasing that. And I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. And going to Vegas reminds me, especially going with Mike Barker, one of my best buddies, it reminds me of the days where I used to drink and I was single. And, you know, one of the laundry list traits is I'm addicted to excitement. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of excitement up there, you know, with drinking and drugging and women. And I had a lot of excitement. And sometimes when I still go back there, there's a piece of that remnants of excitement that's there, even though I'm not doing the things I did back then. Yeah. It's still present because it's the same setting, same place, same type of people.
Same city.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, you know, boy, we could just like turn the car a little bit and then just go down that road again.
Yeah.
And, but I don't want that, because even though it sounds exciting and fun, I know what comes with that.
Yeah.
And then that comes with the shame and who am I, and losing my values, losing my ethics, losing really my identity, you know? And I'm just so grateful that I can recognize that today, because I do have a strong sense of who I am. But back in the day, it's like, oh, you want excitement? Let's go to Vegas. You know,
yeah. You said you've been 100 different times with Mike.
Oh yeah. We've been so many times, and, you know, gambling like just crazy men, you know, getting women, drinking, drugging, hanging out with just debaucherous, you know, type of people. And, you know, it's not what I want to do. And and Mike and I remember one morning, I think it was at Caesars we were staying at. And we woke up that morning, and I looked at him and I said, do you feel the most depressed you've ever felt in your life? He goes, I do. I go, so do I. So do I. And it's like the alcohol and the drugs were wearing off, and the depression was setting in, and the shame was setting in. And we're just sitting there looking at each other going, God, we can never do this again. And, you know, and that lasts for like 2 months, and then we're back in Vegas again. But like at that moment, it's like there's such sadness and emptiness, and that hole in that heart, the hole in the heart and the hole in the gut that we try to fill with everything we can. Gambling, women.
See, and gambling's a slippery slope. And Harvey, your dad, said something to me. He's like, Blake, I was like, Harvey, why don't you gamble? And he's like, because if I lose $1,000, I'm going to be pissed off. But if I win $1,000, it's not going to matter. So why? You know what I mean? It's such a logical thing. And
he doesn't get the enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
Now I go and I lost, I don't know, three $4,000 this trip, but I look at it like it's fellowship.
No, for sure.
You know, I'm playing with my son. I'm playing with you.
Exactly.
I'm playing with my boys. And it's like, you know,
because I don't do it. You know, we're not doing it to try to make money, but it's just, it's the fun. Laughters and the fun. Right. And, you know,
the hooting and hollering,
Bond hitting a 17 and, you know, getting a 4 and looking like a genius.
Yeah. It's fun. But when I'm there, like trying to make money and keep going to my ATM and getting cash advances, which I've done so many times in my 20s. It's like, then it's not fun anymore. No. You know, it's not fun.
You're bringing them out, play the amount, whatever happens. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know,
they make it easy with the markers and the, you know.
They'll give you money.
They'll lend you as much money as you want. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then,
and the thing that I took away, because this is the first birthday that I've surrounded myself with people that I know that they all love me and think the world of me, is just how much just enjoyment got just from doing like mundane tasks. Like when we're just walking from somewhere to dinner, or we're just doing, you know, the simple things. It's just when you're loving yourself, you feel at peace.
Yeah.
There was no anxiety this trip, is I guess what I'm saying. I wasn't worried about if so-and-so was mad at me, or if somebody was upset, or if somebody wasn't having a good time. You know, I was having a good time and there was no anxiety.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I was also thinking too, that we put a lot of the pictures on social media and the videos, right? And the old me would have been really worried and concerned about people that didn't get invited on this trip. That
I didn't even think about that.
You know, but I used to think about, I don't think like that anymore.
Because James, that's funny you said that, because James is like, hey, we should probably take these down. I'm like, why? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I used to think like that. Oh shit, we didn't invite so-and-so. We didn't invite so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, that person's going to be mad at me. But it doesn't even enter my mind today.
Yeah.
You know, it
I
just
didn't even
doesn't
think about that. I'm like, yeah.
But that used to be a big thing with me. It's like, oh shit, you know, and that's where the codependency comes in. It's like
the people pleasing.
Anybody that's going to be mad at me, I got to make sure that I got to figure that out. I got to solve that.
Yeah.
You know, and we laughed a lot about our spouses, our ex-spouses on this trip.
Oh, so good.
My dad laughed a lot about his wife, my mom. You know, he's got that Larry David, you know, attitude, you know, and, you know, it's a lot of fun, you know, we can just kind of laugh and play with it. But, you know, it's one of those things where we just are ourselves.
Yeah. What did Harvey say to the pilot when we walked up? He said something so ridiculous. Like, I can't even remember now.
Yeah.
But it was like,
yeah, I don't remember what he said.
It was good though. It was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. We are all unique individuals for sure. And we're all,
but what a great group of guys.
Yeah.
What a great group.
There's a lot of love and care there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of love and respect and care there. And you know, we're all,
I mean, and really is I don't want to say cliche, but it's like a brother, you know, really is family, you know, more so than anything. And that's family, and that's really, it's, you know, family and friends,
loyalty, it's caring, and it's,
but I mean, but the difference for me this year is all of those people I would do anything for, and they would do anything for me, where I can't say that's always been the case when I've had other groups of friends or whatever. Like it was a very take. Well, you know what I mean? And where now it's, I don't feel like any of those people feel taken advantage of, and I don't feel taken advantage of. It's like, I enjoy being around
you. And
them.
I have this similar experience where a lot of the people we hung out with socially were our ex-wives' friends and their crowd, their crew. And we just went along because, I mean, that's what we do as the codependent, you know, insecure husband. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many birthdays I celebrated with Julie and, you know, our friends, but, you know, I'm not really close to these friends anymore that I'm divorced.
Yeah.
In fact, very few, a couple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But back from all those birthdays, it was like literally, you know, the crew of our couple friends, right?
or her girlfriends.
Yeah, her girlfriend's husbands and as couples. And, you know, I mean, I had a lot of good times, a lot of fun, a lot of laughter, but my crew is the crew that like went to Vegas, right? Like that's who I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
You know, that's who like, I'm like, okay, I want to invite 9 of my good friends. And they all showed, like nobody canceled. And these are people that we've been through shit together.
For sure.
You know,
and we'll continue to go through shit together.
Yeah. Business, personal, health. Like we've all been through stuff.
Yeah.
And we all show up for each other and we're all there for each other. And that's just an amazing, you know, feat.
Yeah.
And it feels great.
Feels amazing. And it's so much, it's just so much, it just makes the time so special. And when I got home last night, I kind of got a little teary-eyed because it was like, for the first time in my life, like I felt like that was my crew, right? And that I felt 100% a part of, and that I could be comfortable exactly how I came. And there was no judgment, or wasn't worried about, you know, Perry being mad, or, you know, whatever it was. It was easy. It didn't feel like work, where a lot of previous birthdays felt like a lot of work. You know, I had to mind this personality with this personality, and, you know, make sure everyone's having fun, and make sure so-and-so doesn't drink too much, and make sure she who's crying doesn't ruin, you know, everyone else's time. It's just like,
well, it's exhausting. Living in the laundry list.
Exhausting.
It's exhausting. It was exhausting at 8 years old. It's exhausting as an adult. You know, when you're so concerned with others and making sure everybody's happy and no one's mad at you, and making sure that everyone approves and loves you, it's exhausting. Yeah. Where if you just let people be who they are and not worry about them and just let them have their experience, then you could have your experience and you can live life.
Yeah. And the other thing too, that I still probably have some work to do is subconsciously, because I'd spent so many birthdays with her because we had the same birthday. I like subconsciously was like, I hope she's having a good birthday. And I don't know if that means I have more work to do, or I'm still people pleasing and I haven't talked to her in forever and I have no idea what she did. But I hope she had a good birthday too. Yeah. I don't know if that's, if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or, you know, the fact that I was thinking about it. I don't know.
It sounds like it's compassionate and loving and unconditional. Mm-hmm. Like I want my ex-wife, who, like I always say, is like one of my best friends.
Yeah, we made a good joke about that.
You know, I want her to be happy. I want her to, you know, like it would actually pain me to see her unhappy and stressed and anxious and sad. Like it pains me because I have unconditional love for these people. You know, I don't expect anything in return. Yeah. From friends or family, you know, or before I did. Yeah. You know, I wanted approval. I wanted pats on the back. And, you know, I tried very hard for a very long time to get approval from my mom and dad. And this trip, I got to just enjoy my dad without looking for the attaboys, you know, from him. Mm-hmm. So I got to just enjoy, you know, who he is. And he's a character, just enjoying who he is and not looking for me. Because codependency and the laundry list is really a very self-centered way to live. For sure. And it's lying and it's manipulation. We don't see it that way. We're like, oh, we're just trying to make sure everyone's happy. We're just trying to make sure there's no conflict. We're trying to make sure everyone is having a good time. But really it's selfish and it's manipulation, and it's, you know, it's all about me. Mm-hmm. And like my first sponsor in ACA told me and had me write in my calendar every day, it's like, make it about them, not me. You know, like, let's try to ask people questions about their life. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Let me get to know you, because it's pretty easy just to talk about me. Like, let me tell you about me. Yeah. And you know, and when I'm done talking about me, let me tell you a little bit more about me. And now I can like ask people questions like, oh, tell me about that. Oh, you're moving. So like, you know,
and the funny thing is because I've been doing a lot of research that it makes you a more dynamic and exciting person by asking questions. Like Chris Voss did a study of, he had a guy, all he did was mirror, which is ask the last 3-4 words of a sentence at a dinner party. And he had another guy who had a whole spiel of the most amazing, fantastic, you know, CEO, you know, Forbes, like whatever. Right. And then they surveyed everyone at the end of the party who was the most interesting. And it was the guy that was asking questions about the people that they found him so interesting and so fascinating, yet no one knew anything about him. Right. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing I heard from another podcast is like listening and engaging is some of the best form of intimacy out there. Mm. You know, it's hard to be intimate when your mouth is going 24/7, you know, but when you're listening and you're really feeling that energy and digesting what they're saying and feeling what they're saying, not just digesting it, but like intellectually, but feeling it on a visceral, emotional level, that's intimacy, because you almost become like empathetic and an empath where you're feeling their feelings and emotion. And I know my good friends around me these last 18 months have really felt my emotions. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of my friends cry, you know, and they're not crying because of, you know, the reason I'm crying. They're crying because they love me. Yeah. And they're feeling that emotion, you know? And I used to be like, oh, don't cry. But now I'm like, cry. Yeah. Like that's love. That's intimacy. That's connection. Mm-hmm. And it happens with listening, and it happens with like caring and being there for somebody, you know? And that's all new. You know, that's all new for me because, you know, before it's like, hey, I'm in my own little world.
And I'm going to run the opposite. You're saying some stuff that, because I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel my feelings. I'm definitely not feeling yours.
Right.
So I'm going to run the opposite direction, where now it's like when my friends or you or anybody says something, like I will feel those feelings right there along with you. Yeah. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And that's real friendship, and that's real caring. So just, you know, a lot of experiences, a lot of, every day finding out a little bit more about who we are, what we stand for, what our voice is, you know, and it's like it's never ending. You know, the journey is in the journey. Like life is in the journey. Yeah. Life is not like, okay, I'm at the destination. There is no destination. You know, it's continue about the journey, and we never know what's going to come up. You know, things are going to come up on a daily basis that some are fun and enjoyable and some are hard and painful, you know? And we just shouldn't judge it like, oh, I'm really in a bad spot and here's what's going on. It's like, okay, that's part of being human, you know? I mean, it's part of the human experience is we're going to have a range of emotions. And, you know, I talked to a buddy this morning early whose son passed away. And so we have that connection. And it's like, I only talked to him for like 5 minutes because he was at work. But like, I just felt like such a connection with him. You know, and I've never even met this guy in person. It's just that we've had a phone relationship. And it's so beautiful to be able to have that, because the old me never would have gotten to know somebody out of like pain and suffering. But now it's like there's such a connection there. And it's, you know, it's one of those things where if you're not willing to feel your feelings and not like willing to like be true to yourself, you're going to have superficial relationships. Yeah. And what does superficial relationships look like? Well, it looks like talking about your neighbor. You know, it looks like talking about stuff going on in business and other people's stuff going on in business. It looks like talking about spouses, yours and other people's. You know, it's talking about sports, and, you know, you're the deciding factor in the sports arena. Like it just goes on and on and on. But to me, there's a lot of emptiness in some of those conversations. And I've been part of a lot of them.
Oh, for sure.
You know, a lot of them. And it's like you're in everyone's business. You're a complete authority figure and judging other people and yourself. Because when you're judging others, you're really judging yourself. And it's like it's a bit of an emptiness. And like the guy, Otis, this morning, the guy I talked to, like, I wasn't judging him for what he's going through. I'm not judging him that he's struggling financially. I'm not judging. Like, I have empathy and compassion and love. Yeah, and I just want to hug him. Where I'm a global ambassador at the country club, you know, like,
and everyone's talking about like, and I don't know if you're this way too, but I don't have like any interest in talking to people when they're like, oh, I got this going on and this is so great. And we have, you know, this. And I'm like, well, I want to hear about the real stuff. Like where's your fear? What are you afraid of? What's causing you anxiety? Like that's the stuff I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about how you just bought a $4 million house and, you know, your kid's going to Harvard and everything's great. Like, I have like that. I'm like,
my friend Morris he called me a couple of days ago and he goes, Todd, how you doing? I'm like, well, and before I could even get an answer out, he goes, Todd, how you really doing? And he like really emphasized how you really doing.
Like, I'm going to be able to tell.
Give me the real answer. How you really doing?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I had to think about it for a minute and I'm like, oh, is this my cue to like be sad and cry? Or is this my cue to tell him I'm doing pretty good and I'm enjoying life? Like I was actually a little confused on my answer because wait a minute, this is a cue and how am I supposed to respond?
What did you end up saying?
Well, I said, I'm doing really good and having fun. I go, but there's, bumps in the road, but it's almost like that question is meaningless, like, how you doing? And there's no real answer.
I agree with you.
There's like no answer.
Because the real answer is I'm doing.
I'm just doing. I'm just doing life.
Yeah.
I'm doing life. There are some moments of like laughter. There's some moments of sadness. There's some moments of, peace. There's some moments of despair. Like, do you want to hear like 1,500 words of how I'm doing? Because that's what it would take to describe how I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But how am I doing? I'm doing life.
I'm doing it.
I'm just moving.
Yeah.
Like maybe the answer should have been like, I'm just in motion. Yeah. Like I'm in motion. I'm living life. And because I just don't like that question, like how you doing? And it's a worldwide question.
It's almost like a lot of times there can be, and maybe this is because of my experience in the other program, is there's almost like shame along about it. Like if someone's asking me how I'm doing, it almost means like they're trying to get me to admit that I'm not doing good.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm great. Like, yeah, I got XYZ going on. I got, something I'm doing with this and, I don't know necessarily what the future holds in XYZ, like, but you don't.
Well, yeah. And like how you're doing can also like, how you doing emotionally? Like what emotions have you felt in the most recent day? Like, and tell me about those. Or how you doing? Like what's going on in your material, physical business world?
Yeah.
Like that's a question. Like how you doing in your relationships is what we talk about here.
Yeah.
Like talk about how you doing in your relationships. Mm-hmm. There's so many like different, I think, avenues you can go down with how you're doing. Right. But like most people, like, how you doing? They want a 1-word answer. Fine, good, okay. And it's like, oh, okay. But like,
and there's so many times that you've asked me how you're doing. And I'm like, oh, I'm great. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
But
I didn't sleep well last night. Let me tell you why I didn't sleep well. Here's what's going on. A little anxious about this thing in business, a little anxious about the relationship, a little anxious with what's going on with my mom, like, and talk about that.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to know somebody.
For sure.
That's how you get to know somebody. It's like, you want to really get to know someone? Well, come on this podcast and let's talk about the real stuff, the real stuff and let's have tears and let's have laughter and let's have a little bit of somber moments and just feel whatever comes up and not try to shove it down.
Well, and that's the thing that I think if I look back on my previous year from 28 to 29 was a year that I made more growth than I've ever made, but there were a lot of lows, there were months, the first couple months after my divorce and separation that I don't even remember, right? Because it was emotional blackout or whatever. Like, people saying, oh yeah, we went to such and such place. I'm like, no, we didn't. And they have pictures of me there and I don't even remember being there. Right. But by doing the work, coming out on the other side, and I'll continue to do the work, I realized how full of shit I was. Like I was so full of shit, all the things that I thought everyone wanted me to do and all the things that I thought I needed to do to be happy and all the things that I wanted. Like I didn't even know what I wanted back then. Right. And I still probably am kind of figuring out what I want. I have a better idea, but all this stuff a year ago that I wanted is totally different than what I want now. And that's the biggest kind of breakthrough that I've made over the last year is that all the stuff that I thought I wanted, the house, the kids, the, 2.2 kids with the white picket fence, that was all someone else's dream. And that was all someone else's, what they wanted for our life.
Well, and a lot of times it's what your spouse wants.
And that,
too.
no, exactly. And it was what my spouse wanted.
For me, I remember when I got married to Julie, and I asked her when we were dating, like, you want kids? And she's like, I didn't really think about it. But like in my mind, like, oh, okay, this is the playbook. This is what you got to do.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about like, what do I really want? Do I want to get married? Do I want to have kids? Do I want to, vacation here? Do I want to live here? Do I want to have this job? I don't even think about it. Like, and I think you got to really figure out who you are and what you want. And that actually takes work.
It takes a lot of work.
Do I want to be sober? Like, there's no right or wrong answer.
No.
Do I want to be this religion? There's no right or wrong answer. Do I want to hang out with these people? But it takes work. And a lot of that work, I think, takes place in solitude and meditation and commonality of interest. Like, I don't want to hang out with people that are on the bar stool all day gossiping. Like, that I know.
No,
like,
for
that's
sure.
a fact.
Yeah.
And when I married Alex, like, she's like, I want kids. I'm like, well, I don't want kids. Like, I have 2 kids. And it's like, I changed my mind, but not because I'm being a people pleaser and codependent, because I fell in love with her and I was excited to have kids with her and a family with her. Mm-hmm. So it's like, but that took time. Like, that didn't happen overnight.
And it wasn't like you automatically flip the switch of, okay, you want kids. All right.
And I didn't have anxiety. Like, well, if I don't want kids and we end up breaking up, like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to like go have kids because I'm scared you're going to leave me.
But it had nothing to do with what she wanted. And it was really your
I found
truth.
out what I wanted.
Really figured it out. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, I don't necessarily know that. Like, I always thought, I want to have a house with kids and this and that. And it's like, I don't even necessarily know if that's in my plan.
Right. And you don't need to know it right now.
And it's like,
a lot of times when people ask you questions, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think that's the most powerful answer in anything is I don't know.
Right.
You only know what you know, and I don't know. Right. And we're like, if you would have asked me even 3 months ago, am I going to be married again? I would have been like, I hope so. Where now it's like, I don't know.
Right.
And I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Right.
Right. Like, if I never meet a person in this body, in this life that I'm supposed to be married to, so be it.
There's a lot of love and comfort and joy in uncertainty.
Yeah.
When you really are calm and the cortisol levels aren't going bananas like we talked about this morning. And we're actually just in a calm state and in a joyous, peaceful state, not excited state, but just a peaceful state. There is a lot of joy in uncertainty of like not knowing what's going to happen.
No. And like, I've also been thinking a lot about like, at some point I would love to put Ralph in a van and drive around. And that would have never been a possibility in my that would have never happened. Right. Where like, maybe that's something I want to do and be a nomad.
Yeah. I follow a lot of people on Instagram that are, van life people. Yeah. And they travel the world in these vans with their pet or friend. And they're not attached to their screen. They're not attached to business. They're not checking their stocks or Instagram every 5 minutes. They're actually in the moment, living life, seeing the most beautiful parts of Earth. And I have a lot of admiration for that. Yeah.
And I think there's something powerful about being a stranger, right? Where you're
meeting people and meeting yourself
through that. Right. I think that's something that I'm not in a position to do right now, but at some point I'd love to, go try it out. And then the other thing is like, if I can you always can unwind it, right? Mm-hmm. You always can come back. But I think that's something I would never have thought to do being in the relationship that I was, because that would have never happened in a million years. And that's something that might be interesting to me, where now it's like, I cared so much about what my house looked like and what people thought of my house. And, I'm in the perfect neighborhood. And now it's like, I really don't care. Like, I don't care. Right. Like, I really don't care. I live in Mesa. Like, it's whatever.
Every time I do these deep, deep meditations and psychedelic journeys, I have pretty much the same answer every single time I come out of them. And that is, nothing you do in this life matters.
No,
nothing. So stop judging it. Stop trying to, figure it out. Stop trying to shame yourself. Like, nothing matters, because before we're born and after we die, it's all the same consciousness and oneness with all of us, and there's no judgment. So anything I choose in this, it's almost like this is a play, and it's a ad hoc play that's happening on, spontaneously, and there's no right or wrong. Period. There's never a right or wrong.
Yeah,
get divorced, not get divorced. Go live in New York, go live in Arizona. Like, there's no right or wrong.
No.
So you can't do wrong in any facet.
I think
of your
the
life.
only wrong you can do is by doing nothing, right? And that's my experience. Like, I'm glad that I got divorced. At the time, I really didn't think that was the right answer. And I remember you telling me vividly. I remember where we were. Like, Blake, you're either gonna get divorced and that's gonna be okay, or you're gonna stay with her forever and be happy, and that's gonna be okay too. Right? Like, there's no right answer.
There's no judgment.
And I didn't know what was going to happen, and I probably would have rather, at the time I was like, there's no way that this is happening. There's no way.
Yeah. And that's the insecurity.
And now it's like, I'm so happy it happened. Right. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I've gotten to the place where I am today, and it happened exactly how it was supposed to happen, because it's the way it happened.
Right. It couldn't have happened any other way. And
like, I needed to be on your floor of your kitchen crying hysterically with everyone there right before we're going to Cabo a year ago. And like, it needed to happen that way.
And I love when I hear people say, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. Well, who says?
Yeah. Who made you the authority?
You said?
Yeah.
That wasn't supposed to happen? Okay. And everything that happens in life is, like you just said, supposed to happen. Why? Because it did. And that's acceptance. That's peace. That's living in that human experience. And like we said, uncertainty should be a wonderful thing of not knowing what's going to happen. And at the end of the road, when we transition out of this body into, the next part of our existence, it's like they're not going to look back and go, you shouldn't have got divorced. You shouldn't have made it work, or
you should have sold that stock
right.
at 44. It went to 24. Like, what are you doing?
There's none of that. It's basically applause for everything that happened in your life. And guess what? Love is the answer.
Yeah.
Now ask the question. Like, love is always the answer. Now you can ask me the question. So, that's what matters, is that we're all in love for ourselves.
And when you're coming, people. Like, especially I've noticed this in the last couple months with myself, I'm able, because I'm not people pleasing and I'm confident in who I am. When someone says something to me, oh, XYZ, this happened, blah, blah, like my old go-to was, oh, let me give you my opinion. Let me tell you what you should do. This is how to fix it. Mm-hmm. Where now it's like, hey, do you want to hear what I have to say about this? And really not being offended when they're like, no. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, I would love your opinion. And I'm like, okay, well, here's my experience.
Yeah. Well, whenever I get upset, triggered, judgmental, that's a cue. Like, okay, I got to step back for a minute. Let's not step forward. Let's step back and let's breathe. And let's either go into some prayer, meditation, take a walk, go play with your dogs. But whatever is bothering me, I need to leave alone right now. I just need to leave it alone and not push. And when I do that, life is so much more enjoyable.
For sure.
But the person inside of me that wants to push and pry and try to get control and answers out of, that's the little kid who's scared.
Yeah.
And he's scared to death. So he's trying to get an answer. He's trying to get approval. He's trying to get control. But it's the adult who knows he's loved. He knows he's eternal and knows that nothing bad could ever happen to him. He's like, well, whatever. Who cares? This is a show. This is a great movie. I'm watching this amazing movie.
And I think the thing about going through the program that we share is I really see it. Like, I still struggle with relationships with women, I think, because I made a big breakthrough. I definitely changed who I was and what I wanted and who I thought with the last kind of girl that I went on, but I was able to be like, whoa, this isn't what I want, and just break it and not go back to that. But where I've made the biggest strides is in business, and being able to just be very matter of fact and no emotion of like, hey, this is XYZ. These are our options. And this is what I think we should do. Where before it was like, hey, this isn't working. Like, and there's this panic and this emotion thing. And it's not like no one cares. Like you said, no one cares. Right.
And
like
if the other people are getting very emotional and very hot tempered and very, concerned, and we remain calm, our energy will actually permeate to them
for sure,
and will help them
for sure.
down.
And we've both experienced it.
If two people are hotheads and like going crazy, nothing good's going to happen.
And like we've experienced that together, where it's like, hey, no, the answer is we're not doing anything. We don't need to make a decision right now. We don't even need to put anything in action. This is just the facts that I'm giving you.
Yeah.
Right.
Being calm, keeping your blood pressure, at a normal level, not raising your voice, not screaming. All that is fear-based.
For
all
sure.
that. So to be love-based, it's just talking like this and just, let's watch this movie.
And it's like, it's a movie. Like it could work. It could not work. This is what we're putting in play. And I just think that because of going through this, like I used to care so much about the outcomes. And then when you care about the outcomes, you end up having worse outcomes is my experience so far, where now it's like, I don't necessarily really, I don't want anything bad to happen, but I don't really care. Like my identity and who I am isn't wrapped up in.
And who's to say it's bad?
And who's to say it's bad?
I thought getting divorced was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I thought getting sober was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And boy, I was wrong, right? I was just wrong.
No, for sure. And my experience is like my last failed business venture, I thought was the worst thing and whatever. But it's taught me a lot and led me to where I sit today. Right. Where
you never know where the road's
you never know what's going to happen.
The road's going to lead to.
Like, did either of us think that last year we'd be in Vegas with how close our group has gotten over the last 18 months to 2 years and have so much fun and there was no anxiety? Like, cause I remember going on trips with you when I was married and like, it couldn't have been very fun to be around. Looking back on it, with me getting in a tizzy because she's upset with me while we're here and I'm walking out of a restaurant so she can yell at me on the phone. And then I come back and I try to pretend like nothing's happening. And then it's like, it's so nice not have to do that.
Well, when you have a fear of abandonment in your life, period, it could be fear of your spouse or girlfriend leaving you. It could be a fear of getting fired in business. It could be a fear of like a health issue that's going to kill you. Whatever the fear of abandonment is, you cannot be in the moment and be happy. It's impossible.
It's
because
literally impossible.
When she calls and she yells at you and you're on a trip, you're done. Because the fear of abandonment is in play.
It's a wrap.
It's in play.
We're on Southwest Airlines trying to figure out how we're going to get out of here. When your boss yells at you and tells
you fuck up one more time, I'm firing you. Boom. You're in it. So it's like you got to get to a place where you don't have the fear of abandonment.
It's so funny.
And that comes with reparenting yourself, loving yourself, having God in your life or some type of belief, that is outside of your humanness.
For sure.
And just following these principles. And it's then the fear of abandonment will slowly go away. But if you're always making your girlfriend or husband the higher power, your job or your boss, your higher power, your money, your higher power, your health, your higher power. When you lose one of those things, the fear of abandonment is going to cripple you to where you can't even live. Enjoy.
And now when you say those things, like all those things, like I'm so glad that I don't have any of that today. Right.
You weren't worried about your ex calling you on this trip in Vegas and shaming you and screaming at you and told you, why didn't you do this, you piece of shit, and ruining your trip.
No.
Like that thought didn't even occur, because you're not in that relationship. And even if you still were and you did the work, you wouldn't care.
No. So that's your problem.
Yeah. You're having a bad day. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'll pray for you. I love you.
And I really hope that.
Yeah. But I'm enjoying myself. I'm in the moment. So I'll see you when I get back,
Yeah, we can talk about it when we get back.
Instead of living their drama.
Yeah.
And that's the key, is that insecure people will live other people's drama.
I did it for a long time. Mm-hmm. I wrapped myself up in sister drama, friends drama, whatever. Like if she wasn't okay, I wasn't okay.
Right. Because that's how you get love. That's how you perform. It's performance based.
Now my understanding of love is if I'm my authentic true self and I live my truth, that's where love comes from.
And I was sharing this in Vegas
because you attract it.
I was sharing it with Jim and Perry. And if you can't walk away from any relationship in your life, any relationship, romantic, friendship, business, any relationship, if you can't walk away and be okay and feel loved, that is probably not the right relationship for you.
Yeah.
That's the test, And if you're like, oh God, if my spouse left me, I would not be okay. Probably not the right relationship.
You took it a step further and you even said if your spouse died.
Yeah. What would you do? Would you be okay? Yeah, be sad. You would mourn.
No, I'd be sad.
But are you going to go into a hole and drink yourself to death or, go get another girl immediately to fill the hole?
I tried that.
I mean, we got to learn to be okay loving ourselves.
Well, and I think I can answer that question today and I could say, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to be good regardless.
Yeah. And you had that healthy breakup that last time and you got through it and you felt the feelings, you stood up for yourself. Yeah. I was the worst breaker upper in the world. God. In fact, I never do it.
It's probably the first
I would either go cheat or I would
it's the first girl I've ever broken up with.
Yeah. And it feels good to do something in a healthy way and speak your truth.
And the thing that I really enjoy about just business now and just whatever is that, and I'm going to hopefully carry out this with the rest of my life, is all the people that I do business with and will do business with is people that I love and trust and have some sort of understanding. Like, hey, we started this as friends, we'll end as friends. And that's more important because I see it all the time with some of my friends now that are getting in these business partnerships. And it's like, dude, if this guy leaves you, you're not going to be okay. Right. And then you have this toxicity and I don't know. I just think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful to have it that like we're all doing the best we can and there's no shame and it's all going to end up exactly how it's supposed to be. And we don't even need to know the answer.
Yep. I don't want to know the answer.
Yeah. I don't want to ruin the end of the movie. I'm enjoying watching my movie.
It's a great movie. It's an Academy Award winner.
It was a great scene in Vegas. Yeah. A great scene in the movie.
Yeah. And life is fluid, Yesterday, is just a memory and tomorrow may or may not come. And what we have is the present moment. And that's where the movie is occurring. Is the movie is being filmed. And it's one of
my favorite things is that this is a movie.
Yeah.
And it's a great movie.
Yeah. And when the movie's over, guess what? We're going to, find out our next existence and experience. And the good news is that we could actually have peace in turmoil. And no one has ever upset me. I love that line. No one has ever upset me. None of my exes have upset me. My parents have never upset me. My friends have never upset me. I upset myself at something that they might have said or done, but I'm the one making the decision to upset myself. I'm the one deciding that I'm upsetting myself.
That's so funny you say that because we went Dr. Bob's on I don't know, Thursday. We went to IHOP after, and this girl said something to me, and she was like trying to like trigger me, and I just like okay, where like before. I would have had a whole response and poor me. She said that. I'm like, now it's like, you're right. No one can upset me.
And
right?
The way to prove that is that two people have the same exact thing said to them by, let's say, a girl after the meeting. One person gets really, really upset and they leave storming out of there. And the other person's like, oh, okay, I don't agree with you, but thank you for saying that. And it has no effect on them.
And then I also can then go to the part of like, hey, this has more to do with her than it does me, her own insecurity and her projecting that on me.
Well, it just proves that the girl didn't upset you because one person didn't get upset and the other person did. So it just goes to show you that the individual that's receiving information is making the decision to upset myself or not upset myself.
Yeah.
And when I look at someone who says something very hurtful and mean, it's like they're not in a good spot. They're sick.
Yeah.
They have cancer.
Yeah.
So let's be nice to them. Let's love them. Let's, is there anything I can do for you?
Yeah.
And if not, just pray for them in your mind.
And for me, it's like you and I, you like to joke, right? And you'd be like, oh, Blake, you're only working part-time. Where like old Blake 2-3 years ago
taking that
would have taken it seriously and would have been like, oh my God, I need to do this. Yeah. I need to show him that. And like, where now it's like, he's obviously joking.
Right. And the people that take it so seriously, those are easy praise.
Oh, easy.
Like Larry David and all these guys like that are like brilliant comics that going after people. They're like the easiest people are the ones that are so sensitive.
Yeah.
The ones that are like, take it. Yeah. The ones that don't take it, they're hard because you can't get through to them. You know?
And then we can dish it back,
Like my wife, Alex, like she can't stay in character when I'm going into one of my, jokester. She can't stay in character because she's like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I can't stay in character. And like, I'm like, never break character.
Never break character.
It's like when you're going deep, you got to go deep and stay with that, and Will Ferrell's the genius.
And we've had some good ones where we've gone deep.
Oh, yeah.
We're the, Dr. Belfer.
That's why I love watching Will Ferrell. Cause like he is, especially in like reality type of situations, he will not break character.
No,
And
you want like,
and that's what makes it funny. They're not breaking. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Dr. Belfer, I was supposed to call and I know you're in surgery. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, and Alex is like, oh, no, he's just kidding. He's
not a doctor. Yeah. He's in venture capital.
It's like, Alex, right over your head.
It's so good.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys listening today. And we have a special guest next week, Michelle, who's got a great story and a lot of experience with relationships. And as she told me this morning, she found the love of her life and had no idea that this guy was going to be the love of her life and her soulmate. So we're excited to hear her story next week. Please be nice to my friend this week. That's you. And love yourself, love others, forgiveness, love, and kindness, my friends. And we will see you next week on The Laundry List.